Welcome to our this is actually our second annual poetry, reading of poetry and prose by our senior citizen community, and we're very happy that it came out on Valentine's Day. Anyway, there's a famous poem. I'm not going to have a very long introduction because I'm really excited about everybody starting to read. But I was just going to say that in his poem, Rabbi Ben Ezra, by Robert Browning, there's a very famous line in it, which everybody I'm sure knows, but you may not know the title of the poem, but I think you know these lines. Grow old along with me, the best is yet to be. I think you know that one? Okay. Very opening lines of this very, very long poem where he separates youth and, well, old age, but getting older, really, and how it's just a very important, vibrant, vital part of life and a very creative part of life. There is nobody here that is old, but there are a lot of people here, people who are going to read today, who are very wise and experienced and great writers. And I think that's the bottom line of this reading also. Yes, it's what we call our senior citizen community, but the bottom line is that these are really amazing people. I have grown older, you know, teaching my students, teaching these students, and I use the word teaching very loosely because they have really taught me a lot, and they've enriched me. Not only do I get ideas and become inspired after teaching a class on the weekends, and you know, on my way home, I just want to go home and write, and I think everybody does. But they've also enriched my soul. I mean, I don't mean to use that as a cliche, but they really have. They make me feel better about life. I think, you know, that's just the bottom line. And I've grown older with them. I've also grown younger with them. And I think I've grown wiser. And every time, and to get to the second part of that line about the best is yet to be, well, every time a class ends, I cannot imagine it ever getting any better. But when I go back to the next class, it gets better. And it just keeps getting better, ad infinitum. So it's really a privilege for me to not only preside over this class, to guide this class, these people, these great writers and great people, but also to be able to put something like this together so that you all know what they're like. So we're not always a secret, you know, sitting in a classroom, isolated from the rest of the world. So it's wonderful, and I want to thank St. Francis College and President Dugan and Linda Werbel and Rich Relkin and Rob Oliva and the councilman when he was on his way for sponsoring this program and for allowing us to do this. So I tend to ramble, and I'm going to get very old, I think, while standing here. So let's begin. Our first reader, and the readers will introduce themselves, I think, okay? And our first reader today is somebody who's really been taking my workshop for many years now, right? 8 or 9 years, I think, we've been doing this. And she's my leadoff hitter. If we use a baseball metaphor, she always leads off and jumpstarts us, gets us going, okay? We always score a run in the bottom of the first, always, so with Ellen. So without further ado, just love that expression, Ellen Press Scott.
Okay. Boy, am I nervous. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, as you may know, all of us presenting today have attended Professor Mitch Levenberg's writing workshops, and I'm taking the opportunity to thank him for his insightful direction and inspiring assignments that very well trigger one's imagination. The piece I'm presenting is based on a one-line opening sentence that was given as an assignment. The rest was up to, well, you got it, the writer. Okay, it is a monologue in parody, more or less a spoof on the great Russian-styled classics, I hope. I call the piece A Lasting Regret. I hope you find it both funny, whimsical, maybe, and perhaps a little sad. And yes, it's fiction. It's about a prima ballerina who may have loved well, but a long-lost love. And as Mitch coined it, the ballerina is a remnant of the lost past. The setting takes place in the ballerina's apartment. By the time I realized what I had done, it was too late. The memory of it all remains clear with regret, but it was a special occasion as today, Valentine's Day. The table was set along the inner pool in a large private room of the restaurant. Joie de vivre was the name, was filled as I requested with white, pink, and fuchsia lotus flowers, with a sculptured swan in my honor, in the center of the pool where a fountain flowed, and the menu was prepared to perfection with wines and champagne, of course. A feast for the senses, n'est-ce pas? And do you remember the music, Antoine, my dear friend? The music of violins and gypsy singing of love. And everyone looked so beautiful and happy, and as befitting this special occasion, the air was filled with love and laughter. Did you know that there were 75 of us at that long table? Do you remember? Well, then how was I to know, I ask you? How was I to know? As true as my name is Alexandra, Victoria, Fokin, Scriabin, Fedorovna, Polyakov, how was I to know? But was I not the greatest prima ballerina of the ballet russe that ever lived? Wasn't the great Nijinsky my lover and partner in divine collaboration? Weren't we the gods who danced? What do you mean, one of the greatest? Who was there besides me? Olga Glazunov, that rhinoceros in toe shoes? Don't be ridiculous. With one leg with a nail sticking through my foot, I could outdance her. You will agree then, Antoine, that I despise clumsiness of any kind. Didn't I work, slave, starve to achieve my perfection? So how was I to know then when I had my mouth so stuffed with pasta? For there were years when I would not permit myself to eat pasta. Oh, I can still savor the taste of the sauce. A masterpiece. A farewell party I was giving before leaving the dance forever, sitting at the table with my marvelous talented guests, my friends, in my beautiful white lace gown, with my tiara of Swarovski crystal and diamonds to cover my black crown of hair. Was I not beautiful, Antoine? You will give me credit for being beautiful. Oh, you think all the ladies looked very beautiful, especially Anna and Nadia and Boris? Who cares about Boris if he was beautiful? Who asked you about Boris? All right, we were all beautiful. But then that crashing blow to the back of me, pushing me forward, coughing up the marvelous pasta while thrusting my face into the plate, the spaghetti dripping from my hair. I was bleeding tomato sauce all over me. I could feel the words swelling up inside of me. I veered around, swinging my arm, the sauce burning my tearing eyes. I couldn't see who it was at first, but I blurted, "You clumsy, blundering buffoon idiot!" smashing the back of my hand across his face. "Are you blind, you damn fool?" Stumbling, he fell stunned to the floor with his cane beside him, his vacuous light blue eyes staring out to nowhere. All so familiar to me by then hearing. "I'm so sorry, Alexandra Fedorovna. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I slipped. I was hurrying to sit down beside you. I couldn't get a taxi in time. I'm so sorry," as he struggled to get up. "Oh, no, Vasily," I began to cry to see him like that. "My love, please, please forgive me. It was I who couldn't see. Are you hurt? Did I hurt you? Please, please let me help you." Everyone looked shocked, and oh, what a tumult. All the waiters came running over to help. How could I have known it was Vasily Rorensky, Tchaikovsky, Bensionov, Eisfitz, the great violinist, my love, my lover, who could not see for his blindness. And after he was seated comfortably, and I did my best I could with the sauce stains and spaghetti to break the subdued silence and to put everyone at ease, to restore the party celebration, I said, Let us continue to eat to our heart's content on this Valentine's Day. And a toast, holding up a delicate tinted pink crystal glass. Let us drink champagne to my dearest Vasily, for his soulfulness and his greatness, who paints music with his bow, and whose violin is his canvas. It is not every day, my friends, that one can be crowned such as I by so great an artist. To Vasily, Orensky, Tchaikovsky, Bensionov, Heifetz. How grand that moment was, wasn't it, Antoine? Wasn't I eloquent? And the celebration memorable? And did we not dance, sing, until the dawn came up, and Vasily joining the gypsies to play most thrilling? He is gone now, my dearest Vasily, but I hold his memory and his recordings. Would you like to hear him once more, Antoine? He was a genius. How could he give so much color to his playing without ever seeing? I do not know, for he was born blind. Yes, I believe we are born to become what we are. My sweet Vasily was brilliant as he was blind. My sweet Vasily. Yes, Antoine, I humiliated us. It was indelicate of me. Yes, my temper. Let's call it artistic temperament. You don't have to add more salt to the wound. I know I'm not easy, for I love, love, love so deeply, and I shall never forget, no, never, never. I carry the pain, Antoine, for all of these years. The pain of it all makes me feel good. I feel good when I am sad. It is my Russian soul to suffer for love. It is the heart of the artist. Without that, one is not alive. One hasn't lived. Can you understand that, Antoine, my faithful friend? You do? Yes, I could have spared Vasily too, my dearest Vasily. He was so gentle, so kind, so unusual, so beautiful a soul. Do you think he really forgave me? I hope so. But we are who we are. Isn't that true, my dear Antoine? Isn't that true? And now, my wrinkles deface what once was so beautiful, defining time, yes, time, for it is diminishing to a few moments. And what is in a moment but movement in time? It is the dance of life, for how we loved is how we lived. That is what matters. That is the power. The larger dance is what matters. So dance with me, Antoine, to Vasily's violin, now this moment, for it may be my last.
My name is Florence Yukan. I forgot my reading glasses this morning, which is uncomfortable, but I think I'll make it if you bear with me. The cracked bowl. Every morning, I eat hot cereal from the same bowl. A bowl that is cracked, but serviceable. It is my Japanese rice bowl. There is a message on the outside of the bowl, hand-painted in Japanese. I wish I could translate this. Maybe the message is about happiness, or does it simply state that the bowl is for rice to sustain life? I enjoy my cereal and recall the story of the ancient people who selected seeds from wild grasses and who tended and selected until they produced grains that feed humankind. I honor my forebears and I thank them. Once this bowl sparkled, now brown stains mar the interior. 3 cracks climb from the pointed center to the rim. One wide crack catches my spoon. My spoon plumbs the depth of the crack. It measures the width. Yes, the crack guides my spoon from the innermost circle, from the innermost center, up and out to the edge of the bowl. One day, the crack will break. The crack will sever. The bowl will break, but today it remains useful. I reach for the bowl and notice my hands. Brown stains mark my skin. I cannot remove these brown stains. I cannot hide them. Briefly, I remember the old hurts, cracks deep within my innermost center. Long ago they healed, faded now, a smooth patina. Sometimes I feel a discomfort up my spine. My back leans slightly forward, no longer erect as vanity requires. Arthritis has gnarled my hands. They chap. In cold weather they crack. Still, they serve me. Today, I stir my hot cereal with imperfect hands. I shall enjoy this day. And now 3 poems. Excuse me. October memory. I miss your face. I remember no facade, spontaneous, effervescent, expressing delight, cherishing love, sentient, sensuous, your face, earth's vitality. Another, whispering. Whispering, you turn to me. Why whisper? Why? Strong our love, sweet, slow, soft, my smile. You turn to me, whispering. I cherish. When first we celebrated our love, you smiled, you spoke. Venus, these, your gaze, your touch, I cherish. Thank you.
Thank you for those 2 wonderful readings to begin with. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Werbel-Deshevsky, and I am the Vice President of Government Relations here at the college. President Dugan really wanted to be here himself today to give these greetings, but unfortunately he had to attend a funeral of a dear friend. So on behalf of President Dugan, thank you to the members of Professor Levenberg's writing class for sharing your work with us all. We also want to thank Professor Levenberg for everything that he does for the college, because in addition to teaching this creative writing class, he also teaches our introductory composition class. He also teaches a class in British Romanticism, and he's also the director of the Academic Enhancement Center, which is a very demanding position because that's where all the students go to make sure that they have proper academic support so that they will succeed in the college and graduate. So that Mitch takes on more and more. We are all very grateful for his dedication, and as a colleague, you couldn't ask for a nicer colleague. So thank you for everything that you do for the college, Mitch. I think most of you know that this writing class is provided as part of the St. Francis College Senior Citizen Program, which is funded by a very generous grant from the City Council. And we've been doing this for about 10 years now. And last year, we hosted over 250 free events, which in addition to the creative writing classes, we have the computer classes, we have free swimming, we have first-run movies, we have world-class lecturers. Last week we had E.L. Doctorow. We have Pilates and Tai Chi, so I hope that everybody is taking advantage of it. And we are very grateful to Councilmember Stephen Levin and the Speaker Christine Quinn for granting us this grant and your leadership on this. Last year we were very fortunate to have the new council member, Stephen Levin, come to kick off this event, and it was really exciting. And now we're so lucky that a year later, he's back to help us to bring greetings. And after just 1 year in office, he's already achieved so many great things. For those of you who don't know, he represents Brooklyn Heights, Greenpoint, parts of Williamsburg, Park Slope, and parts of Boerum Hill. He is the chair of the Planning, Dispositions, and Concessions Committee. Councilmember Levin graduated from Brown University with a degree in Classics and Comparative Literature. The college is really fortunate, and we're all very fortunate, to be represented of someone of Stephen Levin's caliber. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Councilmember Stephen Levin.
Thank you, and I want to first thank St. Francis, everyone at St. Francis College. Thank you so much for providing this service. This is such an important part of kind of what us, what we can do as a society, and what life is all about. That kind of in the midst of kind of a recession, and the budgets are so bad in the city, and they look everywhere to make cuts, and often the very first things to get cut are the things that actually matter so much to all of us. And so it's my pleasure to be part of this, and I just want to thank you and thank everyone at St. Francis. I want to thank Professor Levenberg as well for giving so much of himself, and for being a teacher, and what a teacher is. It's a challenging job to be an effective instructor and guide for the kind of a developing writer. Or I recall when I was in college, and this last time, and hopefully I'll go back and in the coming years to take more classes, because it's something that these are ongoing, as you all know, these are ongoing processes, and what love looks like as a younger person, we kind of change our perspectives on it, but certain things kind of remain. And I think that I love the title of the program as "Love Springs Eternal," because a lot of these things, they don't necessarily change. I mean, we maybe perceive it differently as time goes on, or as our circumstances change in life, but that the impulse is always always there, and it's always so touching for me to hear these words, and to appreciate the art that goes into it. Poetry is to me represents kind of capturing that kind of undescribable thing in form and language and meter, and so that's and creating a sculpture out of it with language. And so as was mentioned, I graduated from college with a degree in Latin, and so I always I look at some of the original or the early Latin poets of Catullus and Horace and Ovid, and that if you go back and read some of Catullus's poems, they're angry, they are lustful, they are passionate, desperate, and they were constructed in this beautiful format that really 2,000 years later still has a resounding impact. And so I want to thank everyone for participating. I want to thank you for continuing to give of yourself, so that others can appreciate the emotions that you have inside of you. And it's again, I want to acclaim the professor for continuing his dedication to that passion. So with that, I want to thank you again. I want to thank St. Francis, and I'm going to stick around for a little while longer, and I look forward to hearing some more wonderful poetry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We appreciated that very much. Our next reader will be Francois Snapping Turtle. He's an amazing human being. He's on his way now. Before, just very quickly, I wanted to point out a couple of things. The picture on the front, by the way, is an original picture, original painting by Ellen, our first reader today.
Good afternoon. I am called Little Snapping Turtle, which is, in my language, is Usti Salagugi. It has been changed so that people will understand. That is why I'm called Francois Snapping Turtle, to make it easier for people who do not speak the language. I come from a long time ago, from a little speck of land called Nantucket Island, which was called the Faraway Place. And you might say that it was also BH before, what is the name of that? What is the name of those things? Hallmark. The thing is that all the things that Hallmark does, we did at home. We made the Christmas cards, the birthday cards. We wrote jingles, poems, and decorated the papers that we were going to use. And I think the finest holiday with the most poems was Valentine's Day. Now, at the same time, I will tell you, I attended a one-room schoolhouse, all classes in the same room. We danced around the maypole in May. Girls learned to put on their white frocks, and they danced Morris dances. And little boys like myself were taught to bow from the waist. And so without further introduction, I would like to read a few poems that I have written, which are called a posy. The first poem is called The Shining. Out of the shadows came the shining, swelling, never declining. Faster than the sacred tree, quickly it eludes me. From the deepness comes the shining, overwhelming the present world, like the trailing willows waving over dark pools. Take my heart, reform it. The conscious me, transform it. Then march onward like the rivers to the sea. Love me, for I have become the mystery, the shining from nowhere, the sigh of swaying branches, the song of a waterfall where the wind plays. I and the shining have become one. Would that I had been born a twin, then I could tell you more of my love for you. The second in this posy is, Beloved, with heart and mind and soul I love you. I looked deep into your eyes and my tattered heart called out sighing your name as an echo returned crying. The luminous sphere of my love fell into the whirlpools of the stormy sea. There, caught in the fury of the tempest, it was swept to the crest of a wave and flung out into the void that flecks of spume. My heart unfolded, and forth became myriads of brightly colored butterflies, like confetti painting the sky with heart and mind and soul. You are my true love, proclaims each tiny mite. You are my true love, flutters down, and I fall too. Earth is aflame with love. My heart trembles in the flurries of confetti, then it dances forth to meet you. Foolishly, happily, my childish heart bounds forth. Not wisely, not sagely, but plaintively calling, shouting, dancing, and singing. In the hot sun, a thrush rejoices. At high noon you peered deep into my heart, turned your face away and closed your eyes. From deep in the valley of loneliness I hear the lark and the linnet calling. With heart and mind and soul, I have loved you. Once again, surrounded by smoky lies, I sit with smarting eyes, eyes full of dreams and hopes and sighs. Leaves are beautiful in May and in fall, beautiful in Maine or Connecticut, in Greece or Spain. Bury them there. Send me no leaves. Send me no dead leaves wrapped in dreams. I travel light, my love, my sorrow, and I. Send me no leaves, no far-flung chain. Send no kiss, no if, no sigh. Pluck no leaves in the cold gray earth. Let the dead leaves slumber. And now, Rondo. Beloved, walk and talk with me across the green meadows and the snowy fields, out where the stately oaks raise fortresses for the raucous crows, and white clouds skip in the sunlit breeze. Will you? Listen to the song in my heart, wild as the spiny flowers on the heath. Hear the blast of trumpets where some buried hero lies. Hear the sad farewell of broken dreams marching close ranked into the dust. High on this windy hill, no one heeds their passing. While there is yet time, walk and talk with me, wish me and kiss me, and I will respond in kind. And now a poem very expressive to my heart. Amayi Astanka, to deep water. Like a star out of deepest night you came to me, wrapped in a gossamer robe sprinkled with moonbeams. Your face was shrouded in an inscrutable mask, emitting glittering, luminous sparks. Your voice calmed the tumultuous waves as the heart within me struggled not to break. And then you sang to me. What time was it? What season? What universe? Yes, what? Tingling my soul took flight as we floated into ever deeper night. Where was our fast point, our anchor? Where were we bound? Lost between two rivers, we were no longer alone. And that is my Valentine's posy. Thank you. Thank you kindly.
I'd like to say it's a privilege to be part of this extraordinary writing group facilitated by the talented writer and teacher Mitch Levenberg. I'll be reading two pieces today. The first is called Moments, and it's a poem for my husband, Philip. For me, it was the blackness of your hair and the lightness of your eyes and the way you smiled at the beach that winter day. You tied a bottle of wine with a rope. It dangled from the rocks as we watched the waves and talked of travelers and foreign ports. Perched on the rocks, we mocked the cold, toasting winter solstice in plastic cups. The sun, pale and red, set. We saw the moon, faint and yellow, as night rinsed the sky. In the quiet of the beach, we walked and listened to the wind. The sea, primeval, beckoned us to the ocean's swell, and our shoes made marks as seagulls claimed the sand. There is a time when stars are hidden in the sky, and the moon hangs and glows like the halo of a medieval saint. It is twilight time, when words are meaningless and raw, and the heart speaks. If I didn't know it then, I know it now, that love is quiet and fierce, making meaning of moments such as these. The second piece is a recollection of a dance performance by the Martha Bowers Dance Company that was performed at Greenwood Cemetery. I offer it this Valentine's Day in memory of those loves lost. The name of it is called Angels and Accordions. The gates of Greenwood Cemetery arch to the heavens. In the spires, Quaker parrots perch, and on the ground, as if a stage, the dance troupe enters, dressed in the black and purple of mourning. And although it is hot for autumn, they wear long dresses, dark stockings, and veils. The spectators, some 200, stand with a reverence reserved for such occasions, and I am awed until the hush is broken by accordions, part dirge, part hurdy-gurdy, replicating the lowest notes of a church organ, De Profundi, I think. And as the mourners move, they are flanked by 2 white-clad beings. We onlookers follow this cortege, and some historian walks with us lecturing what he thinks we will not learn from the tableau vivo. All around us there is fading green and emerging gold, vast fields dotted with small headstones and large monuments, house-like structures, even 2 villas, ponds and a narrow lake, a land of the dead within the city's mists, and we are tourists. And as the historian speaks the names of the famous dead, Beecher, Currier, Tiffany, the 2 angels from before have morphed into a host, and they are everywhere, clinging to trees, draping themselves on monuments. One kisses a Civil War statue. Only by his hat do we know his side, but death does not distinguish. And the angel's kiss is recompense for what the young soldier will never feel. And I think of these dead and remember. On the eve of All Souls, my grandmother gave her own children a light broth for supper, but set out a feast of pork chops, baked apples, and chocolate cake for the dead. And as their mother slept, my mother and her brothers devoured the food, and in the morning my grandmother exclaimed, "The souls have been nurtured." My mother swore her mother believed the dead had eaten, but I knew it was the hunger of memory that fed the living and the dead. And as I reminisce, the angels have moved from their poses, dancing to the music of the accordion. They cartwheel and swing from hidden ropes. They are acrobats and seducers. Their white flimsy scarves flow in the wind, and as light catches them, they are resplendent. On the lake, 4 angels in 4 skiffs float, their faces transfixed. There is no Sharon, no coin, only the reflection of trees and sky and their fugitive colors. On land, violins have joined accordions, and soon a sense of the samba reappears, the music now a cross between fugue and oratorio, as the dancers in black reemerge. They are high above us, as if we are in a valley. At first their dance is frenetic, and as it slows, we recognize the one dead is ready to depart. Her body brushes closest to a grieving man who holds the hand of a small child. We watch her disappear behind a large monument. Those who remain come back to this world in silence, for a little while, anyway. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Cesario, and at this time I'd like to thank my husband for encouraging me to take this course, and also to give kudos to Mitch Levenberg and my classmates for helping me to take my words from my soul and put them onto paper. It really helps me become a better person, and what I always had loved and wanted to be was a writer. So now I feel like I have finally become what I wanted to be. The 2 stories that I wrote today, one was dedicated first to my husband of 28 years, and the second one was dedicated to my son, who at this time is no longer with us. He's now, I feel, my guardian angel who helps me put the words onto paper that I write. Winter love. Do you want to know when I found my love? It was in the winter of my discontent with the heavens above. How would I realize that this was love, truer than true? It was when I found myself finally laughing at silly gestures he made. Like a pair of old shoes, I became comfortable with my love. Now we have weathered many a winter together since that one cold winter night when we first met. The times we have shared together have been rough, but then there have been days that we are glad that we would never forget. I, for one, do not like the cold harshness of winter, but I do love the memories of my winter love. The next one is called Courage, and it's the one that's dedicated to my son who died from diabetes. It says, "Your love inspired me to write this. Ever since the first day I met you, I knew you were the one whom I was always searching for my entire life. You came into my life and brought a new perspective for me to look at life as I lived it. In my terrifying at times world, you gave me the courage to persevere. Knowing your love was there to not only support me, but to strengthen me. Our hearts struggled at times with other people's perspective on us. They did not see what we saw. How could they feel what we felt when they never struggled like we did? Because of you, I have had the courage to want to live my life to the fullest. You are my angel, my forever courageous love, my son." Thank you.
My name is Siil Kor. I'm going to read a few poems. This first one is called Suppose. Suppose you were still alive, your migraines raging, the cat hissing, you burning paper filled with words you dislike. And as your blood spikes, you suck on pieces of pear, no relief. You'll always be back in a Budapest cell, a pistol in your good hand, the guard unconscious sprawled on the ground. I like to suppose it's the middle of the night, and we're barefoot baking bread, sipping wine, the scar on your arm in the shape of a dog leash. But our luck was as if a stranger was always circling, our words starting to leave the world as you spilled yourself along the edge. This poem is called The Nap. My memory of riding on a milk truck with a big dog comes to me more often now. I want to leave these overheated rooms. In a dream, I slide down a chute, clutching a clock in each hand. I walk beside a brown horse along an unmarked trail. The horse tells me he kicked an actor's grandmother to death. I tell him I am a criminal. When I awaken at midnight, all the lamps are lit. I watch my hands switch off each one. Is this my job finally, to let in the night and remember a painting of cows grazing in the summer rain? Those were the sad poems. I'm going to read a few poems that I wrote as part of a series, and they're about the poet having a dialogue with the poem that the poet is trying to write. This first one is called Poem That Is Stubborn. This poem wants to see itself in a mirror. I try to talk it into a game of Scrabble instead. It stamps its little feet. Okay, I say, but you might not recognize yourself. This warning causes it to hold its beat for many lines. I rush it to a mirror just in time. It looks itself over and starts to whine. Request from a poem. This poem wants to be written upside down and then photographed alongside a big dog. I am still working on it. A poem in a state. This poem is nervous. It starts kicking around commas and shoving dashes. I threaten it with an eraser, and it flings an exclamation point at me. This poem hates semicolons. I promise it more parentheses, but it's in a rage, and when I look around, it has knocked itself right off the page. A poem with a dislike. This poem doesn't like insects. Who can blame it? It wants me to step on an approaching spider, no matter my mother thinks spiders are good luck. So I kill for this poem and hope it's enough. Thank you.
Hi, happy Valentine's Day. My name is Pat Kirkby, and I have really enjoyed Mitch Levenberg's classes because he nurtures so many different voices. I am fascinated and inspired by the talent and diversity of my classmates. Valentine's Day to me is not only celebrating the present love, but a remembrance of past love. The first poem goes back half a century. I'm not sure why, but half a century sounds so much longer than just 50 years. It's called Extracurricular. I remember fondly back to my college days. I remember fondly back to my college years and those young men that my fancy caught. Those times then held both laughter and tears, as dating and romance I diligently sought. There was suave Peter, a budding design star. I danced starry-eyed as his senior prom date. Was it his charm or his racy red Carmen Ghia car? Designing autos and not me was to be his fate. I have still the sketch from a graphic designer. He drew my likeness with all its young charms. He had a genuine talent, and none did it finer. Unfortunately, he was all over me with octopus arms. Whatever happened to that long poem of love, surprisingly written by a very nerdy engineer? He wanted me to be his true turtle dove. I had to make my negative reply kind but very clear. A young, tall architect was also around there. He was busy designing new geodesic dome. He praised my charms as being so very fair, but it turned out his heart was truly back home. So many short-lived romances were all started as the semesters came and then quickly departed. Feelings were awkward and sometimes smarted, but not a one of us was ever left broken-hearted. Now, the next two poems are short, but they are part of the same time, place, and maturity. The first one is Together. We met at La Fonda del Sol one lunchtime, a Spanish restaurant in the Old Time Life building. A mutual friend introduced us that day. And for the next 22 years, 3 months, and 13 days, we shared our lives in joy and in sorrow, with laughter and with tears, passionately, then peacefully, usually in harmony, occasionally short-tempered, as true friends and happy companions, trying to understand each other, finding it sometimes impossible, but accepting anyhow that love and tenderness were always there, as long as we cared enough to cherish and to share all the seasons of our hearts. The last one is inspired by a line from Edna St. Vincent Millay, quote, "At least, my dear, you did not live to see me die." At the end, it contains a Celtic word, anmakara. It means soulmate. It's not fair, damn it. I didn't get to say goodbye. You always said you would go first, but not this year, not this season, this month, this week, this day, this hour, this moment, not now. We had such hopes and dreams, plans for our golden years, not now. Now is farewell, my Anmakara, as you voyage to journey's end, guided by your higher power. I'll miss your presence, my loving friend. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sandy Clarp, and the name of this piece is When Does Life Begin? The couple had been married for less than a year, but the young woman, only 22, wanted a baby right away. The boy was a few years older, but he too wanted one. It was easier than facing his future in a dead-end job. He had graduated from Brown and had so much potential. But marriage, staying on Long Island, and marrying a woman who couldn't deal with social situations were his choices. The pregnancy did not go smoothly after the first 3 months and the announcement of twins. First, the doctors claimed there might be Down syndrome. Then they followed with the announcement that the babies might not have kidneys. They put the young woman through test after test, and after each, the couple expelled a sigh of relief. The doctors put her on bed rest after her 4th month. Then they decided that the woman might have high blood pressure, then pulmonary troubles, one crisis after another, one stress after another. In her 24th week, she began to have contractions. The doctors administered magnesium. The contractions slowed, but her water broke. The doctors were optimistic that she could still hold on till the magic 27th week when the survival rates were high. But one of the babies developed a blood clot, and blood seemed to be coming from the mother. After the cesarean, it was the bigger baby girl who had been bleeding. There in the NICU, which is the Newborn Intensive Care Unit, were 2 baby girls, one at 1 pound 4 ounces, the other at 1 pound 2 ounces. They didn't look like they belonged on Earth yet. They were so small, so fragile. They were like sonograms come to life. There were tubes emanating from every orifice, every little vein. The couple named the girls Brianna and Brett and watched as Brianna's early hours on Earth were filled with strife. First, there wasn't enough oxygen, and her skin never developed the pink color. Her little chest worked so hard trying to perform life functions. After 48 hours, doctors gathered the husband and wife and the grandparents and told them that Brianna would not make it. They removed the tubes, and after death, each adult held a little form as blood dripped from her mouth. The other baby was holding on, but the nurse said it would be touch and go for quite some time. People began to do research on survival rates, brain injury, future life problems. The young couple didn't want to know any of the information. They just wanted Brett to survive. If she lived, they could get through the loss of her twin. And because they were young, they believed that she would live and she would be fine and that their marriage would grow and flourish. Okay, thank you.
I'm Joseph Davis, and I have a story entitled The Gift, which is a short story, a fantasy. Steve Harvey was a very ordinary man of 34, recently divorced, alone in a walk-up apartment on the Lower East Side. He worked at a music store where one could purchase any musical instrument that fit a person's wants. His salary is meager, but sufficient for someone without many needs or interests. One day, his older brother offered to buy him a computer for his birthday, which he had always wanted but could not afford. Andy, his brother, brought a laptop to his apartment and proceeded to set it up. After connecting it to the modem, Andy helped him with a password and email address. Now, I know you're a hard worker. You have long hours at the store, but we hardly see you. Give us a call when you're free. I'm sure you must have some slow periods. Anyway, happy birthday, your little brother. Thanks for the computer, and I definitely will call. They hugged, and Andy patted him on the back, smiled, walked to the door, looked back at Steve, and went out. Steve sat in front of his electronic gift, admired it, then cautiously turned it on. The screen lit up, and he entered his password. This was the beginning of his adventure. He was now able to use email, explore Google, Yahoo, YouTube, Facebook, and whatever else he could find on this computer. This was his new companion, for he was on it whenever he had free time. He even took it with him to the music store and logged on at lunchtime during slack periods. A few days after he received his gift, he answered a call for his brother, reminding him to visit. Steve had become so hypnotized by this new contraption that he found it expedient to tell his brother that he wasn't feeling well. And he was sorry to hear this, and ended the call by saying, "Maggie and I are looking forward to your visit. No more excuses. We'll expect you to come soon." Not only did he turn his brother down, but he found alibis for friends who wanted him to join them for bowling, a card game, or dinner out. Close to a year passed, and Steve started to have dreams that bothered him. One night he dreamt he was hugging his computer to his chest, and there was a mob of people chasing him. They were getting closer and closer. They were nearly on him when he awoke. And then another night, he's walking with his computer, which had hands and feet. He was holding its left hand as he looked at it. The computer had become an attractive woman. Then he was awake. These dreams had him convinced that he was giving an inordinate amount of time to his electronic device, and decided to try to cut back. The following days he was still preoccupied with his computer, for which he had been showing complete devotion. This devotion could be compared to one's love for one's wife or family. There must be a reward for such fidelity. One evening he came home exhausted from a busy day, sat down at the dining room table where he placed the computer. He logged on, and the screen remained black. He thought it was in need of repair. He rose and started to walk to his wall phone. Then a glow filled the screen, and a beautiful woman made an appearance. He was mesmerized by this apparition and closed his eyes, for the screen was so bright. When he opened his eyes, this glorious individual was standing before him. This shimmering image was even more beautiful than she appeared on the screen. He found he was not bothered by the glow anymore as she walked towards him. As she neared him, he noticed even her blue eyes glittered. He started to back away as she came to him, unsure of what to make of this. He was against the wall when she kissed him on the lips. He felt a tingling sensation, something he had never experienced. She slowly retreated, disappeared, and reappeared on the computer screen. He shouted, "Come back! Come back!" She was gone, and the screensaver appeared. There was a message on the screen which read, "As a faithful and never-tiring computer user, you were awarded a computer kiss." Steve sat down confused and somewhat exhilarated. Imagine being kissed by your own computer. The next day he was back at the music store. A young woman entered and said she wanted to buy a violin. He couldn't help staring at her. Well, she had a strong resemblance to the woman from the computer. But that's another story.
I'm Lynette Fronneberger, and you won't find my name on the list because as much as I love Mitch's class, I got a call to go to Florida, and I flew down there. My sister was quite ill. And, of course, I never came back to the class. I spent a lot of time in Florida, and after my sister passed away, I got to New York in time to experience all of the snow and the weather and so on. But I did put pen to paper, and the name of this is Doris, my sister. My sister Doris and I have been separated before by years, oceans, miles, but we were never apart. Whenever she was gone, like a fragrant breeze, a great love remained. Together, we talked a lot, and laughed more about our family, brothers, sister, ourselves. We laughed together, remembering Sunday funnies, the serenaders, Christmas, lesson plans, cleaning pots, planting morning glories, the circus, Scrabble, St. Ambrose. So Doris has generously given years of who she was, years that make me who I am. This is the richest part of my day, thinking about her, sharing what's in my heart. Doris and I and love will stay forever in this heartbeat.
I see by the program here that Rose Fontanella was supposed to be here, but I guess she couldn't make it because I'm Rose Fontanella, and I'm here. And I kind of like the word Fontanella. It's kind of like an Italian swear word, you know? So if you don't like what I do, Fontanella. Anyway, next month I will be turning 38. Be turning it, right? And I find that as I get older, you just keep going in the direction that you were always going. Yeah. So when I was younger, I was quite a skeptic. And now I'm just more so. That's it. But this being Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day. You want to see it better? Sure, what it is much better. I love these things, you know. You open little flaps here, it stands up. You don't have to tell anybody you loved them. You just give them one of these, that's all. And if they don't like it, Fontanella. I love you. Oh. There we go. Now you know what we're about here. We're about love here. We're about Valentine's Day here. Here's the thing I wrote. Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. Love. I walked into my local pharmacy / convenience store recently, and everything was red. Right? Everything was red. Red hearts, red heart balloons, red candy boxes, red bows on heart-shaped jewelry. Cuddly teddy bears with a heart-shaped belly button. You press it, it squeaks, I love you. And of course the greeting cards. Dozens and dozens of Valentine cards, so flowery, sentimental in design and message. There's one for everybody. You need a card for your dog walker? It's there. I bet your local policeman would like a Valentine. Only $2 or $3 a piece. Yeah. Now, when we were kids, we'd get a whole sheet of Valentines for maybe a penny. Punch them out, sign them, put them in the small white envelopes, and slip them under your friends' doors. I think I got one in here to show you. Oh. Who could resist that? Man. Then there were those nasty cards. The ones you never signed, remember those? Like the one for the milkman. You remember when milk was delivered to your door? You never come at an early hour. That's why, like you, the milk is so sour. Or the office flirt. Your skirt is too short, your heels are too high, you're not really a blonde, we all know you die. Now, when we were kids, we'd get a whole sheet of Valentines for maybe a penny. I said that, didn't I? That's what happens when you get older. And it was always that special Valentine for your unnamed crush. That one you'd sign from your secret admirer. Sometimes we'd make our own cards, coloring them with crayons, or we'd cut out red hearts and paste them on lacy white paper doilies. Now in class, your popularity was determined by how many small white envelopes you found on your desk Valentine's Day. Your teacher always made sure that each of her students had at least one, so there'd be no broken hearts that day. She, of course, always got the most Valentines. And oh, the songs of those pre-TV times, weeks before Valentine's Day, and especially on February 14th. The crooners, the swooners, they would just fill the radio waves with tunes of love and longing. How could you resist? My funny Valentine, sweet funny Valentine. Or, A, you're adorable, B, you're so beautiful, C, you're a cutie full of charms. They don't write them like that anymore. But then, as now, if love is to survive, you must give your sweetie a gift. No matter if the roses arrive a bit wilted, or that delicate undergarment is the wrong size. The chocolates may be stale, the perfume overpowering, the diamond may be a fake. We all know it's the thought that matters most, as long as you don't call her by the wrong name. So, Valentine's Day comes and goes each year, bringing love and joy to many and heartbreak to others. By tomorrow, the red will be gone, and everything in the pharmacy all too soon will be green. Green shamrocks, green balloons, green candy boxes, and the little teddy bear with the little green four-leaf clover belly button that when you press it, it says, top of the morning. Oh, and then after that will come the yellows and the pinks and the purples with the chicks and the bunnies and the eggs, and so on. But for now, I'll open my small white envelope with the red heart on it and see if I have a secret admirer. Like me, it's from the Valentine skeptic. Don't make me promises you cannot keep, or say that cause of me you're losing sleep. No need to dine in some ritzy place, toast me with wine, gaze at my face. And please, don't write me poetry or prose, or buy me jewels or fancy clothes. God knows I've enough of those. But hey, want to make my day? Here's what you do. Just send me one red rose, and I'll send one to you. Thank you. I wish you love on Valentine's Day.
Okay, I'm sending the proofreader of this program into a room, a locked room, where they'll have to listen to Justin Bieber for about 3 hours. Anyway, so do you see what I mean? I have, you know, what else can I say? The best is yet to come. Is that possible? But thank you all so much. Thank all our readers so much for just an amazing display and variety of, you know, of words. And I don't know, should I one other thing about the program. Some of you might be waking up in the middle of the night wondering where Murray Bernstein was. And Murray was really also a fabulous writer, just wasn't able to make it today. So we wish him well, and he'll definitely be here next year. I don't know, my student, should I read that little? Okay, my students are insisting that I read, the world really doesn't need another silly little love poem, I know that, but I wrote a little poem just for today, and it's called Love is in the Air, and it's for all of you lovers who have been delayed at airports at various times in your lives. And so anyway, it goes like this. Love is in the air. At 20,000 feet, there's an old peanut on my seat. The magazines are stale. It's hard to inhale. Someone inevitably disables the lavatory, gets a nicotine fit, only a row from where I sit. The pilot, I is the flight attendant. The flight attendant flies the plane. In his heart, his engine won't start. He won't explain. I'm not even in the seating chart, so who am I to complain? The attendant screws up the drinks while the pilot coos over the intercom. Don't be alarmed, he says. Stay calm. But did I mention that only when she kisses me will the engines in my heart dare to start again? So it took forever. He never took off. He never took off. Poor guy's still sitting there on the tarmac. Anyway, thank you so much. That concludes our program for today, and I want to thank everybody, the councilman and Linda Warbel-Dashevsky and Rob Oliva and President Dugan, who really wanted to be here. And I hope you all, thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you all come back for our 3rd annual reading.